All right, guys, it's Mike from Seattle back with Dion from Dion Talk Financial Freedom, who in the last video explained how he went from being a regular guy, military, then law enforcement, into getting his first house and then his first rental in 2011. And he had a whole bunch of mistakes and a whole bunch of things working against him. But instead of quitting, getting frustrated, and giving up, he decided to get educated and move forward. So what I want to hear now is from Dion. Dion, how did you go from 2011 house hacking that first duplex to now having 16 units in one of the highest cost markets in the entire country, the Seattle, Washington area? Give it to me straight.
Okay, thanks, Mike, for having me back. Ready for round two. One of the things that I really like about what you're doing is you're house hacking in a high cost of living area. So many people say, I can't invest in my area because it's too expensive. So here's something I want people to listen to. Please take a note. The more expensive the area you live in, the more impactful house hacking is. If you can almost live for free somewhere, it doesn't do you any good to live for free. But if it costs you several $1,000s a month to live somewhere and you can do it for free or get paid, like the unit that I'm in now, I'm profiting on just that property $1,700 a month, even with me living there. It makes it really hard to ever want to pay for property again.
Right.
So I would say the only reason that I am a real estate investor is because of the cheat code to wealth. Everybody calls it house hacking. And I think when we hear the words house hacking, our brains shut off because we think of credit card hacking, travel hacking, and all of these confusing systems where companies try to trick you into building up a bunch of points, but don't tell you what blackout days are. And you have to learn their system, and then they might change it all next year.
Right.
So house hacking sounds like it could be hacking some confusing thing. All it is it's the cheat code to wealth. Reduce or eliminate your housing expense. It's one of the biggest expenses most of us have. It usually goes housing or taxes, then transportation, then food, then healthcare, and it kind of goes down through the whole chart of expenses. If you can get rid of housing, the latte factor becomes completely irrelevant. Saving $5 or $10 a day means nothing. When I moved into the duplex, it took my apartment from $1,500 a month to where I was paying $300 a month in the duplex, which sounds like I was saving $1,200 towards my savings rate.
Right.
But in order to make the $1,500 to pay for the apartment, I had to earn at least $1,700 or $1,800 because that's taxable income to have that money. So I was saving much more than $1,200 a month. That added to my savings rate. So I learned how to cash flow with the single family house. I moved into the duplex to reduce my housing expenses. And instead of getting a nicer car, going on bigger trips, and letting life creep happen, I maintained the same level of life and continued to save the money. The next purchase took me 2 years. So now we're 2 years later. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is a get rich or get wealthy plan that takes about 10 years. So 2 years later, I purchased another duplex with a 20% down conventional loan because of all of the cash flow, my overtime, my wages increasing, me increasing my savings rate. That next duplex also cash flowed. So now I have 3 properties. I've only house hacked once. With the extra cash flow, the next duplex didn't take a full 2 years. It was about a year and a half. I got another duplex that cash flowed. At that point, I hit 4 properties. And in my mind, I thought 4 mortgages would be the most I would want because at that point in time, larger lenders were stopping people at 4 mortgages. And I figured banks are smarter than me. They have a reason for picking that number. It's the safest, least amount of defaults and foreclosures. So I was going to stay at 4. So at that point, I turned all of the cash flow, that income snowball that had started. Each cash flowing asset adds to that income. And I focused on my smallest mortgage, which was also my highest interest rate. So it was the debt avalanche and the debt snowball mixed together to pay off the single family house. Once it was paid off, which took about a year and a half. So now that's paid off, which increased the cash flow on it. That house is now rented to a Section 8 tenant at $1,800 a month.
Wow.
At this point, with the 4 properties and the house paid off, I was making, so when I was a police officer in Tumwater, a tiny little town, I was making $1,300 every 2 weeks. So $2,600 a month was my take home. My cash flow with 4 units, 4 properties, this is 7 units, was $2,700 a month. And I had no mortgage. So that's how long it took. It basically took about 6 years to reach my first stage of financial freedom. I made more money than I was making when I was a police officer, and I didn't have a mortgage.
Yeah,
I,
go ahead.
sorry, I still avoided life creep. And over the period of the next 2 years, remember, 10 years ago, I was making $17 an hour. In the next 2 years, bad debt free, took care of the $89,000 by then, it was gone, and saved a little over $140,000 for the next down payment on the next property. That's how fast it starts to add up after those first 4 to 6 years is really when it starts to kick in.
So it's interesting to listen to you explain everything that's going on because, one of the reasons why I really liked listening to you on Michael Zuber's channel is where I discovered you, one rental at a time. I discovered where I first heard you. I didn't discover you, right? You've been around for a long time, but um, what I like is like the parallels with my life, similar careers, similar life backgrounds, similar choices and how to get started in real estate. And you're saying, yeah, year 4 to 6 is where you really start to feel the benefits of investing in real estate. I bought my first rental in 2018, 3 years ago, and now that I've gotten three more, and I just got another one under contract, so I'm at 5 properties right now. If hopefully that one closes, I don't want to jinx it, but I'm starting to feel the effects myself. I can save the money to buy the next one so much faster. Just like you, my first duplex I bought in 2018, I didn't buy another property until 2020. But then I bought 3 in 2020. And then unfortunately, I got like killed on a bunch of deals and just they kept slipping through the cracks left and right all of 2021. But now I finally have another one. So what I like is what I want people to understand from this, and I know I hammer some of these points home all the time, the importance of giving yourself enough time to see the results, not giving up just because you make mistakes, and then the life creep. If you'll talk about life creep for a little bit more, what are all the temptations that were there that you avoided?
They are all of the things that I'm doing now.
Like what?
So I love the quote, live the life no one will so you can live the life no one can. I had 3 cars, all of them purchased for less than $2,000, but I needed 3 so that one would run well enough to get me to work.
Right.
Never had a car payment because of that. Doing things with my kids wasn't Disneyland, wasn't Disney World. It would be camping, hiking, going to the lake, doing things here in Washington in the Northwest that you can find all kinds of things to do that don't take a lot of money.
Right.
Not buying a nice, huge house to live in and call my own, not having the new car for those first 6 years. Once the income snowball kicks in, and it isn't forever, it's like I said, 4 to 6 years. In 2017, brand new Corvette.
Nice.
2018, traded in for an F-250.
Oh, you stud.
Literally jacked up on like 24s with the compensator on the tailgate. It's the name of the truck. The compensator.
Hey, we are cops, right? Come on.
Exactly. And I mean, the truck has every extra that you can imagine: massage seats, heated cooling.
Oh, man.
2018, spent a month in Colombia with my brother. 2019, spent a month in Thailand. Just got back from a month with both my brothers driving all over the United States, hit everywhere but California and New York because no.
I agree completely.
Right. So in that month a year, next year is going to start being 3 months a year. So avoiding life creep means putting off for 4 to 6 years the things that will make life totally enjoyable. So if you can put your desires aside for just a short period of time, especially if you're in a relationship with somebody and you need to talk them into house hacking or, using the cheat code, which doesn't mean sharing your living space with somebody. You're not renting out rooms. You have somebody living in the other unit.
Right.
You can buy a house with an ADU, so they're completely not even touching. There's several ways to use house hacking. And then let life creep happen later.
Yeah, I really like that. So I pretty much didn't do anything my entire 20s. Didn't party, didn't go on vacations, never did anything. Was somewhat of a social recluse. The only thing I did do was just play soccer. I played in like adult soccer leagues with friends, so I would still see people. But man, I tell you what, people buy nice cars, people buy nice houses, everybody's posting on Instagram and Facebook everywhere they're going, and I'm at the gym on a Friday night or sitting with my son on a Saturday night doing nothing. And it's hard because I look at, I just wired $20,000 for my 5th rental property. And that $20,000 would buy a few different vacations into Europe to go watch professional soccer matches. You know, it can be tough. But I listen to people like you. I listen to people like Mike from One Rental at a Time, and it's like it'll be worth it. I'm almost there. I just got to keep going. So that's what I want people who watch my channel, who please go follow Dion. I will put the link to his YouTube channel in the description below. Dion, what is your favorite real estate book?
One Rental at a Time
Is
from
it?
Michael Zuber. It is, because it's so everyone should read Rich Dad Poor Dad, because it's a mind shift. It finally awakens our brain to the difference between an asset and a liability.
Right.
And we start to see things that way. But there's no to-do list. There's no, this is how he
Right.
did it. One rental at a time is get to 4 properties, your life will be changed. You don't need a special sauce. This is right off the MLS. All my deals are from the MLS. I use traditional lending. It's easy to reproduce. The reason my investing works for me is because it's really easy, and I'm super lazy. The motivation to make work optional is strong motivation when you're lazy. So you said you just sent $20,000 to buy the 5th rental property when it could have purchased something like a trip.
Right.
But that money that you're spending, you're investing, is buying a machine that will produce money every month and buy your freedom. And other people have asked me several times, with how much money you make, because I make more money now. I'm part owner of the CDL school. I'm no longer making just $17 an hour. My cash flow from 16 rental units after everything is a little over $103,000 a year, which is 3 times what it takes me to live. People have asked me, how come you don't have a really nice big house? You can completely afford that. And I said, well, I can afford a big house because I haven't bought one. If I buy a house, it's something that's going to generate income.
Yeah, I kind of agree. As much as I, lament the fact that I don't have any fancy toys, I just am so against spending money on something like the fancy toys or the nice house. It almost makes me cringe probably more than the jealousy. I don't know if I want to call it jealousy, but the admiration I have for some of my friends when they have something cool and fun. You know, a big giant lifted F-250 that says the compensator. I would want an F-350 and put it on the freaking the hubcaps. But okay. So I want to do one more video with you where you explain how in the heck you make the numbers in Washington work, because it doesn't make sense to me, and I'm known for being a bit of a negative mindset on our market here. So stay tuned for Dion's last video, and we're gonna get right to it.